Hi, welcome to BlindOwl Outdoors. We hope you enjoy our channel, and if possible, could you please join our Patreon page? We really need your help. It's been a long, hard road. Thank you. Hi, welcome to BlindOwl Bushcraft and Survival. Out here in the camping area. In there I got a termite oven. It was a termite mound. I dug an oven out of it. I've only had a fire in it 3 or 4 times. I've never baked anything in there yet. Let it sit since December 16th, 2021 when we had the typhoon. This whole area here was destroyed. Took us a whole day to clear this out. I mean, look at all the stuff we pulled out of here. All broken down branches, and they all have, it's pretty tough to work with. They all have these wicked, you can see them there, these wicked spikes. Absolutely vicious, man. Just tear you apart. It's nicer now. The only thing that sucks is we're close enough that you hear the highway. Got a hammock out now all the time. Use it when we want, I guess. If I was going to come out here and sleep, I would, sitting in the hammock right now, I would bring a different hammock out that has a hoop and a net on it. Real comfortable. It's nice and cool out here at night. I was out here last night about midnight, and it was at least 10 to 15 degrees cooler than the house. The house was still like 95 at midnight. So it was around 80, I guess, here. $85, something like that, but sure felt cool compared to the house. Brought down some stones to do some stone and steel fires. These stones here, the ones here look kind of semi-greenish. That's the bedrock out of our well. That doesn't spark. It's like a granite or something like that. So hard that you can hit it with a chisel and a sledgehammer. It just laughs at you, but it doesn't spark. Where these other stones here are just something else, some kind of quartzite. They're just smooth as glass. They spark like crazy. I got done 2, 4, 5, 6 of them. I lost my sledgehammer. I don't know where that's at. I've been looking for that for 2 weeks now. I can't find that anywhere. It should be in the house, but it's not. In the basement, but it's not. I can't find it. I moved everything in one room. I was actually looking for a pretzel maker, and I knew right where it was at, but it wasn't there. Then I looked someplace that it shouldn't have been, and I found a box where it was at. I must have moved that box up on top in the attic, and there it was, just like that. And now we have all those step-down transformers. I'm going to make a batch of bread dough. I have a little bag of yeast my dad sent me about almost 10 years ago of Fleischmann's yeast. Does that stuff ever go bad, guys? I don't know. I don't think it does. It's sealed up in the little packages. But I'm going to give it a try and see if I can make some pretzel dough, which is the same dough I use for pizzas and everything else. If I had some lactose pills, man, I'd be eating cheese pizzas and stuff, because they're selling big blocks of cheese for about $30 in town right now. And it would be nice to have pizzas. They're so delicious. But again, I like hamburger pizzas, and the ground beef is so hit and miss here. I got so lucky the other day when I made that goulash. I bought 1.5 kilos. What would that be, about $16 for just a little bag of ground beef, but it was good. It smelled good. Smelled good, which is, that's first thing I do. I'm gonna lay down here once. I take the spoon out and I put it by my nose and smell it. You know, everybody else is sitting there coughing on the beef and stuff and pork. I don't really care, but oh yeah, this hammock's pretty comfortable. These little hammocks that you get like at Walmart and stuff. This one was, I bought this one over eBay. I bought 3 of them, one for each one of our bug out bags at the time. And they would sure work if you're in an emergency, no problem at all. And they're halfway small, halfway light. But they're real, I mean, I'm way bigger than most people, but for me, they're so tight in the shoulder. You have to keep your arms alongside you. You wouldn't be able to move an inch while you're sleeping. But again, by the time you lay down when you're in an emergency, you're exhausted, so you just conk out anyway. But these all have nets on them. This is a funny one here. This is blue and pink. This was Shannon's hammock. I bought her and Marife about, I don't know, 6 years ago. I bought them each a special hammock, and there was a Army surplus store. That really wasn't surplus, but an Army store right next to a little Army base. And I bought the hammocks that the soldiers were buying, and it's a nice material. Not this ripstop nylon. It's a little different, and the net's way thicker net, but they're made for someone about, I don't know, 5'5" to 5'7", something like that, which is what 90% of the people here are. Marife fit in it real well. You might saw the video the other day of her hanging her own hammock up. It was really nice. Quality was real good. They were lost for a couple of years. I couldn't find their bug out bag, either of their bug out bags. I don't know what they did with them, but all of a sudden they popped up one day. I was thinking about them, and then lo and behold, there they were again, right out in the open, which makes no sense at all, because I wasn't specifically looking for them ever, but where they were at, I would have run across them several times. And because I had Marife's bug out bag and a really nice what do you call it, a dry pack, and I wanted to use the dry pack for something else. I was going to take a computer with me somewhere. I didn't want it to get wet, and I put all her stuff in a bag like you get from Sam's Club or someplace like that. And Shannon's was in what kind of bag was hers in? I can't remember, but I found them both the other day, which was just hilarious because, again, I actually looked for them a couple times. About a year ago, I was going to do a video on them to see how well they were stocked, because when I stocked them all up, we didn't have anything. I was just using stuff that I picked up around the house, and and little pieces here and there. So I had each bag had a pot in it, a cooking pot, and a backup knife and stuff to make fires, and a hammock, little things like that. And I was going to go through them and see how bad they really are lacking, and I've got a lot more stuff since then, and what can I put in there to make it better, But hopefully we'll never ever need them, but you never know. You never know. We're in a third world country. Everything could just go to hell in a second, and China could attack tomorrow. You never know. Get forced to leave our house and go down in the swamps and stuff to get away. You got to have some basic stuff with you. To me, the biggest thing is, and I know none of our bags have it, is to have about 10 pounds of food in there, rice and some canned goods, and make sure you always have your pot. And if you're going to be actually hiding, you really need at least a couple bottles of alcohol, and at least one of the the little alcohol stoves made out of cans, something like that, so you could cook your meals without smoke. But I don't know. I think each one has a alcohol stove in it, but I don't think they all have alcohol with them. Maybe I'll bring one of the bags out later. Maybe I'll do a video on it to see how far off I really am. But, again, I think there's other things too, like you need a get home bag too. You should always have a bag in your car in case something happens to you when you're out and about, so you can, again, either walk away from your car and go somewhere, or at the very least set up a little camp by your car, so you can cook a couple meals. But the things that it's tough to take the stuff you need, because you need you need at least minimum 2 or 3 liters of water, and say 5 or 10 pounds of rice, and a few cans of soup or something powdered or whatever you're going to use, and you know, things like that. And that's pretty damn heavy. So that's the stuff you really need, though, because you know, if you get lost somewhere, you know, normally you expect within 72 hours you're going to be found. So that's nothing to not eat, you know, for 3 days. That's no big deal. You're a little hungry. Eating is just a habit. You know, you can get by eating one meal a week, no problem at all. But you know, I've gone 12 days twice here and 15 days once here without eating. And the only thing that sucks about that is there's no problem doing it. The only thing that sucks about it is getting off it. Your body's all, your intestines are all constipated up really bad and stuff like that. That's the wicked part about it. But it just takes getting used to it, I guess. But what you need is water. You need to have some source of water. Let's say you broke down up in the mountains somewhere, in the middle of nowhere, and there's no one around for 20 miles or something like that. What are you going to do? You're not going to find water. There's no water here. Rarely is there ever a stream around here. Very rarely is there a stream, especially up in the hills. You know, you'd have to make sure you had enough water for several days, and just barely be sipping on it to make it last, you know, several more days besides that. I've never been lost in a survival situation, but I know I could handle it if I had to. It would suck, but for me the key would be to have a fishing kit with you. If you had fishing kit, then if you find fish, well, then you got water too. So that's why you always carry a pot in your kit, not just your canteen and stuff like that. You should always have if you can, find like a small, I don't know what they call the pot, like they cook a turkey in. It's got a special name, the oblong with a lid on it. But you could find a smaller version of that that would just fit in the base of your day pack, and then, you know, fill that up with all your other stuff, and then you'd always have a nice big pot to cook with, to boil water for sure, and, you know, make yourself had a nice fishing kit. But see, if you were lost up here in the mountains, I could get up probably an hour from our house and let you go, and the hills are like, right now the hills are like deserts, and I only know about 5 miles away from here, I know one little stream that you could use, but way up in the mountains, I don't know. But in the hills, I don't know. They're not really mountains, you know. They're only maybe 1,500 feet, 2,000 feet high at the most. You get up there, you know, what are you going to do? You know, where are you going to find water? There's no lakes up there. There's no ponds. There's one big reservoir, but that's not. I mean, you know, you wouldn't know where that was at if you were lost. And if you could find that, you could find your way out easy because there's houses around it. But I'm not sure what you do. Luckily around here there's coconuts. You might be able to find coconuts in the ground. A guy like me, I don't know if I'd be able to climb a coconut tree if my life depended on it, being as old as I am now. I climbed coconut trees back when I was in the Philippines in 1993. I climbed a couple of coconut trees. Easy as pie to climb up. Man, they're a bitch to come down, I'll tell you that. The locals make it look pretty easy. But you could live on coconut water for a while. If you could find young coconuts, you could live on it for a long time. If you're picking coconuts off the ground, you could only drink so many of those because they got a lot of coconut oil in the water, and it would give you the runs in a second. You'd be really careful on that. You could eat coconut too if you wanted to. It's pretty nasty to me, but I don't know if you think what kind of vitamins are in it. You could use break a coconut open and use the around the coconut and use the oil and stuff. You know, keep your skin in good shape, stuff like that. But you know, you might get lucky and find a banana here or there, banana plant. But usually, as you start finding coconuts and bananas, you're around people, because they're not. Neither of those are natural plants. So they were planted by somebody somewhere. And there's absolutely zero game to hunt. And how are you going to hunt with all you have is your day pack and your knife? What are you going to be hunting there? You might be able to trap a little bit, but even up there, even there, you know, you'd be lucky to find. Might be able to find a rat or two. I don't know. Living out in the middle of nowhere, eating on bananas. If there's bananas and coconuts around, maybe they would. But I think you'd really have a hard time surviving in this type of a climate, because it's 90, 95 plus degrees in the sun during the day, and it drops down nice, you know, and especially up in the hills, the mountains, around 80 degrees. Not that you'd actually be chilled at night, but water would be the key. I'm telling you that. Water is the key everywhere. And if you do find food to eat, you have to have water to digest it. But your dream would be to have a properly stocked backpack that had a fishing kit in it, and had a little small supply of nutrition in it, and you had your pot and stuff like that, so that you could boil water if you found it. But let's say, I know here, if you could find a coconut tree and somehow get up on top of it, and you had something like a couple little bags, maybe, or maybe you ran into some bamboo. You cut a couple pieces of bamboo to like pots, maybe. You know, you'd cut off a branch of the coconut and hang a bamboo pot on that, and you could fill that up with about half full of water every night. Get 4 or 5 of those out. It's not really water, but it's a sugary liquid that they make tuba wine out of here. They just put a little bit of sugar in it, a little bit of yeast, and they put some red color in it, red ochre in it for color. But you can make alcohol, but you could drink the water from the tree itself. You found bamboo trees. Some bamboo trees have water in the bottom few sections of the plant, where you could tap into that and get maybe a few drinks out of that. Or if you could find a nice young one, you could bend it all the way over to the ground and stake that out and cut the end off that. That'll actually leak water out overnight. But you'd really be reaching if you got to that point where you needed that stuff. Then the rest of survival is just your attitude. Either you have the will to live, or you die. You know? A lot of people, when they're out and about, they get lost. And when they realize they're lost, they start to panic. And then they start to walk around more and more, looking to see if they can find their way back. And that gets them even more lost. It gets them all turned around. So half the time they don't even know what direction which is, you know. And then again, that's where you carry your set of dowsing rods or your compass, and you can find your direction. And you have to know where something's at. You know, you need to know what. Say you need to know what's in the east, what's in the west, whatever, and then head that direction, and hopefully you'll run into something. But some places it's really hard to even walk, because you have all the brush and vines and all that stuff, and tall grass and cobra snakes. I don't think there's any animals here that can hurt you. You just never know.
I'm just talking here, but I think about survival every once in a while. Again, that's why I make so many fires. You guys might laugh at me because I'm always making a stupid fire or something like that. But I try to make fires just to practice with them, and I use different tinders and go out and try to salvage the stuff for a fire. Here it's very hard because usually anything that's on the ground is rotten, and all the stuff like leaves and things like that, they're all too damp and rotten to use. So you have to actually make your own tinder. If you're lucky to find a piece of bamboo that's caught in the air, you know, you can scrape that down into shavings, stuff like that, and get some splinters off part of it, you know, for kindling. And if you had your ferro rod, which you should always have a ferro rod, you should always have 2 lighters with you too. It'd be crazy if you leave the house without 2 lighters, because you never know what's going to happen to you. You know, you fall in a ravine, break your ankle, you know, where you can't get out, and if people don't know exactly where you're going, they're not going to find you. It'll be pretty tough. There's no bloodhounds here to go find you. You find swamps and stuff. Some places, some islands have crocodiles. Most islands have all kinds of different snakes. What you really got to watch out for is the snake. I'm sure there's some bad spiders here too, but I don't know any bad spiders yet. Except there's a tarantula one here, but it's not enough to kill you, but you know, get you all swelled up and stuff, and hurt. Centipedes are really bad. This thing of a centipede is like the worst wasp thing you ever had times 10, and it lasts for 10 hours. Just wicked. Bees, lots of bees, lots of wasps. There's 60-some varieties of bats here. You'd never be able to catch a bat. I never heard too much about people eating bats in survival situations. Especially after COVID. Nobody wants anything to do with bats. Do you know that COVID was invented in 1965? In 66 it was, I don't know what you call it, it was redone in 66. 1967 they sent it to England and actually let it go on people, in different areas on people, to get them sick, and then they developed the vaccine for it. Pretty sad stuff, I'm telling you, what the governments will do. And it came from America. It came from Princeton or someplace like that. They don't tell you none of that stuff. Oh, I'll let you guys go. Take care, huh?
Thanks for watching. Take care.